Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel Coding at Home. I am Matthew Lonsdale and I program games in the Unreal Engine. So today, this video is a video leading off from the video I made the other day with the AI boats moving around on the new water system plugin from Unreal, or from the 4.26 version of the engine. Problems we had with that was boats weren't moving around on the waves, and it had a massive capsule component, and it was kind of a bit hacky actually the way I did that. So what we've got today, this is going to be part 1, and there's going to be a video of part 2 with the avoidance added in. So I've got boats moving around, and it's through like a booster, a thrust in the boat along the top of the water as a physics actor. So there's no nav mesh here, and obviously they're spawning, and then there's like a spawn in a point, and then move to that location. So we're going to show you what it'll look like. I'll move my face out the way. We'll click simulate, and I will go to full screen here. So you can see, so we've got 6 boats. These are the little points that have been spawned in. As you can see, this boat here is moving towards this point. Like I said, there's no avoidance, so he's flying over the island, but you can see that this looks a lot better on top of the water, like so. It's found that one, it's now moving to that one over there. Okay, so let's build this. I will move, well, I'll press stop. I will move you out the way. We will get this up. We'll launch the engine here. Okay, check that, that's all good. Right, so we're making games, blank projects, fine. Default with start content, why not? We'll go AI boats moving. It really doesn't fucking matter what you name your projects, to be honest. So we'll create that. Give this a second. Okie dokie, so delete, atmospheric fog, delete, get rid of all the shit, and we'll keep that, but we'll set that to movable, and we'll keep the direct light, and we'll set that to movable. Okay, save current. If you haven't already, you'll need to come into your plugins, type in land. You want the land mass. Yes, it is caution because it's a beta and this is experimental, so you just want to just tick them anyway and restart now. So get them enabled, and then you'll have access to all these new goodies. Okay, now we're back. So we can just double check now. So there's the land, enabled, all good to go. So first things we want to do, landscape. Now, before you click create, make sure you've ticked this box here, enable the edit layers. This is how the landmass works with the water to carve out and all that good stuff. So we'll tick that, we'll click create. Now we have our landscape. We'll click modes, go back to the select mode, jump in here and type in water, scroll down to ocean, drag in the ocean, and then shabam, we've got one. What I'm going to do, I'm going to make this dead small, because you cannot really, there is ways to get rid of this island, but for now we'll just make that small and out the way. We'll take this collision box, this is the post-processing volume, so if you come in here and you're outside of that, I think this has something to do with the buoyancy collision as well. So we want to zoom right out here, come over to the details panel, scrolling down till you've got collision extents, and drag that out. We'll just have a little look here. Drag that out just past the water, and same for the Y. And then we just want to leave the Z value where it is. All done for the water? Yes. Okay, so what do we want? Save current. Let's have a look in the contents folder. So first things we want is an actor. We want a target ball. Open him up. Add a sphere. Scale that up to 10, 10, 10. And event begin play. Come into here. Just drag off of this and just go set actor location. Split this down here, and we want to get actor location. Split this one. All I'm doing here is when the ball spawns, because we're going to make the boat spawn it in an like a trigger box or a collision box, which will have above the water area. And all I want to do is wherever it is in that, I just want you to keep the X, keep the Y, and just set the Z to 0. So we'll just connect the Z, connect the X, connect the Y axis, and leave that Z zeroed out. So every time one spawns, it'll just hit the top, which is like water level. 0, done. Click, save, compile, close that out. So now if we drag a ball out and we put him up here and we go simulate, it'll just move itself to the water plane. Done. Okay, that's that part done. Next we need the boat, which is going to use the buoyancy. So we need an actor, and this is going to be AI boat. That's spelled wrong, don't care. So for this buoyancy to work, the static mesh has to be the scene component by the looks of it. Otherwise, it just doesn't seem to work. I've been messing on with this for a week now. And the weight. So when you know when you go, what we'll do is we'll get a static mesh here. I don't know why I typed it in. It's already there. And we simulate the physics, right? You need to take the mass and make sure it's at like 50. I've tried to work out the equation of how much buoyancy you need for how much mass. And it's different every time. I can't actually come up with a solid, concrete equation to work that out. I'm sure someone has, or it'll be there somewhere. But you want that to be capped at 50, like that, just so everything works properly. And it doesn't matter, you can have a massive boat, just override the weight to 50 and then it'll float with 4 buoyancies, or 4 platoons, whatever you want to call them. Okay, so we haven't got a boat. Now I haven't got a static mesh, so what we'll do is we'll just make one real quick. We're going to have to do, if you could just come out of here dead quick and just follow along here, take a cylinder, let's see, rotate that on the Y 90 degrees. Let's make it 3000 by 500, something like that. Just give it 3 sides. I think this is what I did in the and then if you click it, scroll down to brush settings, little mini drop down here, you can then just create a static mesh. We'll put that into the contents folder. There you are. Open it up. Right, now by default I don't think it has collision, so and you need to use simple collision. So I think if we just go 416 apply, yes, that'll give some collision there. And then we can go to simple as complex, save that out. AI boat, yes please. Static mesh, and that'll have done that forward. Okay, because if you don't give it that collision, you won't be able to simulate the physics on it. Okay, so now if we make that default scene route, enable that. Now you see the mass is like 90,000 near enough, so you need to override that back to 50. And then if you want, you could, from here, give it, I don't know, how would you spell cylinder? I've got dyslexia, so I can't spell fuck all. Then you can bring that up and then make that a little bit bigger, a little bit that way. In fact, they can be just stay as one. And then build that up like that. And then add a cone. Bring him up, bring him out. 90. And then let's see, something like that. Let's go 10. 10. Y, make that dead thin to 0.05, and then this can be, no, 4, definitely not 4, 1, yeah, 0.7, sail. Look, looks mint, doesn't it? And if you want, we can just search on the material, and then pop that in there. There you go, but now everyone's got one. Save. Now, that we don't want. Engine content, why are we in there? Now we've got boat. Now, you need to bring that above the water before you drop it. At the minute, we don't have any buoyancy on it, so it's going to sink. Is it going to sink? Yes, it's going to fall straight through the water and sink. So, let's bring that further this way so we're not so close to the land. Let's add the buoyancy. U there, buoyancy. Now then, this is still a little bit daft. I wish you could tap into this and then like link it with a scene component or even a I don't know, a sphere collision box, just so you can visually see it on the mesh, but you can't. So what you've got to do is add a scene component, or it can be anything, and then position that where you think you want your buoyancy to be. And I think 15 by 7 was the what I had before, which is like just on this corner. 15 by 750. Now obviously this is all symmetrical, so the opposite to this will be minus 750, and then the opposite from front to back will also be minus 1500 by 750, and then minus 1500 by minus 750 over that side. So we kind of now know where we want things to be. So we don't need the scene route anymore. We now want to go into buoyancy and add our pontoons. So we'll want 4 of them. So the top one is going to be 15, which is where we want it at the back, by 750. I tell you what, I didn't take into consideration, sorry. Let's go 15 by 750. 0, maybe not so much, maybe more. 250, yeah, 250, something like there. So there will all be 250 in the z-axis, 250. Now what we can do, we can just copy that, paste it into all the relevant locations, and then we just need to change a minus sign, don't we? So all they'll stay the same. So you want 2 at the front or back, whichever one this works out. So 1 at the left, and then 1 at minus 750, so that's them both done. And then we jump to the front, which will be minus 1500, minus 1500. And then we want 1 on the left, so you leave one of them, and then you go minus on that side, and that'll give you the 4 pontoons. You can double check that as well. You can copy that location, spawn a get a scene component, and paste it into that location, and it'll be where you want them in all 4 points. Okay, so that's that done. Compile, save. So we've got the buoyancy. With the scene component, we will need to make sure the weight of the mast and the sail is at 0, which will put you to 0.111, the minimum it can be. Make sure the weight of that is also, just put 0 and it'll do it for you. Now, if everything's worked out there and I've done it all correctly, we'll get rid of that one, bring in another one, just so it's above the water, and we should have a floating boat. Just about. Right, so it's a little bit all over and it's spinning. So all we want to do here is come into your buoyancy, come down, and if you apply drag forces in the water, it just calms everything down and slows everything down. Okay. Now, if we simulate, wait for them to drop in. That's better. Much better, much lovelier. Okay, so now the way we want to move these about. Event graph. Don't want to use the tick because that slows everything down. You can do that, but I had it before and I was trying to record this earlier today, and because I had everything on a tick, it was just like 2 frames a second. So what we're going to do is I'm going to bring up my other one just so I can reference that in case I forget anything. So on begin play, I'm calling an event, and this event was to spawn the target. So on begin play, we want to call spawn the target. Okay, so all we want to do here is, what I've done is I've got a delay because I'll show you in a minute, but this is important. So just put a delay here for 4 seconds, which gives the boat enough time to drop into the water and be settled and then ready to move. So I've got a delay in there, and then I am going to get all actors we want to get all actors of class. Now we haven't made that yet, so we're going to save, come out of here, we're going to get a box trigger, which is the same as like a collision box. It's got a box entity, so this is the area which the target can spawn. So we're just going to move that to 0, 0, 0, so it's in the middle, and drag out. I'll tell you what we'll do, we'll make this 1,000 first so we can see it. So we'll drag this right out, zoom out a little bit so we can see where we're going. Just towards the end there, you don't want them going overly far, and then drag that out so we've got the full spectrum of the water. Now, like I said, it doesn't matter about height because we've put that little bit of code in the target, so that'll spawn to move to 0 anyway, but it'll spawn in any part of this box entity, and this is how we're going to do that. What you need to do is you need to make that into a blueprint actor, and it'll just be a trigger box. Okay, save, close it out. You don't need to do anything in it. It's just so it's classed as an actor and you can find it in the get actor of all class, right? So now you can either click it or search it. If you click on it and then click that little arrow, it'll put it in for you. So from this, because there's only going to be one, because that is an array, that's what the 9 dots is, it's an array. We're going to get the first one out of that array with a get node. And then from there, because it's this class, what you want to get is get actor bounds. Okay, this will give you the origin and the box extent. You've probably seen them before when you're trying to, when you've used collision boxes and stuff like that. And then I want to spawn actor from class the target ball, and then we want to split this open, and we want to if you drag off of here and go random point in a bounding box, it'll give you that. And now look how convenient that is for us. So now that's spawning the balls every time the begin player gets called. Now what we want to do is promote this to a variable, and this is our current target. Let's make that slightly better. And that is the current target, and then from there we want a custom event move to. So this isn't the AI move to with the nav mesh and the capsule component. This, we're going to make our own physics move to. So we'll comment that this is begin, and I always put that comment in blue. So that's done. Let's do that. Comment this, and this is spawn target. It's not spelt right, don't care though. And this is now going to be the move to. So first thing we want to do, don't forget here, sorry, you want to call move to just on the end there. Okay, so move to, first thing we want to do before you get a reference to anything, you want to know, is it valid? So yes or no is basically what it's saying is. So if we're not valid, for now we'll just do a print string and we'll say no target. Okay, so we'll be no, so if something's not working, we know, right, there's no target. Okay, that isn't valid. Why isn't that valid? Let's figure that out. So first thing we want to do is set the actor rotation. The rotation. Now we want to get the rotation. So now that this is valid, let's get actor location. So let's get the actor location of the target. What do we want here? We need our actor location, and then between these two you want a direction. So get unit direction vector. All I did to get that was type in dir, and you can see that's come up there. So from us, which is self target here, to the current target. That'll give us a vector. Okay. But we don't want it pointing up or down or always pointing to 0, because we want the boat to move with the waves. So we only need the z-axis information. So what we're going to do here is we're going to split this and split this. We want the, if we want to come up here and we want to get actor rotation. So we want to get our rotation, split this struct pin, type pull the pin out for the X and the Y. So they're always going to be getting ours when it's set, get what we already are and set it to what we already are. So that won't change anything. The Z-axis we want to go pumped in. I think we need to rotate by 90, but we'll just leave it like that for now. Then we want to, okay, so here is what we've got. What I've got here is add force to the cylinder brush static mesh. Add force at location. Just add force to, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll rename that to boat. Just so that's a bit easier to see. Okay, so we're adding the force. So we need to figure out how much force and in what direction. So, well, we've already got a direction here. Tell you what we're going to do, because this is, just unconnect that pin, reconnect that struct there, and then come off of here and break it. Just so it's done that. It's normally better to do it that way around rather than splitting it in that node, because sometimes it can be a bit funny, but we need it twice, so that's why I've pulled it off of there. So reconnect that back up. From here, we want to first do a times. This is going to be the speed, and then that can go into the force. So that'll be the direction, but that'll be from 0 to 1. Now we want to give it some oomph. So if we come off of here, promote that to a variable, call that speed. We'll not expose it at spawn, so you can't change it, because when I was doing that earlier, it lost the reference to the target. There is a way to make it do some extra checks and refind it, but for now, don't expose that and leave it in the blueprint, and you'll have to hard code it. But I'll give you a number for now anyway of, if it compiles, thank you, 500, which I found is a good speed, but you will have to do some more code to stop this, because this adds and adds and adds, so it'll just get faster and faster and faster. So there is some more code to, when it gets to a certain point, don't add it, let it slow, and then you can keep a consistent speed. But for now, we just want to add the force in the direction of the target, and then what we want to do here is a delay, so we don't get a forever loop and the engine closes. But we'll make this quite 0.001, which is tick sort of speed, and then we'll call the event again, move to. So this is what we've got, move to the valid target. We're getting the rotation in the world that we need to be, so we're setting ourselves to rotate to the location of the target in the world on the z-axis. Then we're adding a force in that direction, and then we're going to do it again and again and again, repeatedly, really quickly. Now, is there anything we need in here? Yes. So if we jump back into the viewport now and add a, scroll down to the capsule collision or box collision or sphere collision, whatever you want. I'm using the capsule, and we want about I think maybe 1,000, and then bring that wide. Maybe no, it's more than that. 2,000. Oh no, what's the boat's 3? So if we do 4. Hang on, down, rotate 90. Then we can see here, maybe a little bit smaller, and doesn't really matter about thickness. All this is if you you clicked on your capsule and you come down on the side here and you go on component, begin, overlap, come off the other actor. This is the actor that it's overlapping. Cast to the target ball, like so. At this point, it's when it's got to the target. The front, it's touched it. It's overlapped it. What do we want to do? for now, we just want to destroy, and make sure you're on here, because if you leave this unchecked, you'll destroy the boat. So we've cast it to the target. We're overlapping. Are we overlapping this? Yeah, if it's yes, this is like a branch. If it's yes, or if it's not, okay. So if it is, you can take the reference from the cast node into the destroy actor, and then at that point, you can then call spawn the target again, okay. And then that'll take we're back up to the top, spawn another one in the box at a random location, and then call the move to, and then we move down and repeat the whole process. And then end overlap, we don't need an end overlap. Okay, compile, save. Now if we go into the world, delete that boat, drag in a new one because Unreal Engine hates it. Make sure you've got plenty space above the water. Drop that down a little bit. No, don't need to be miles in the air. Now we click simulate, and hopefully everything works. That gives about 4 seconds to get into the water. So our actor has spawned. So it has spawned, but we haven't got movement. We haven't rotated either. So let's stop. Let's go back to AI boat. Acceleration change. That needs to be ticked. I forgot to mention that. Okay, we press play. That has spawned. And there we go. We are moving towards that point. Not rotating though. So we'll have a look at that in a second. Right, we're back. So it's very silly. I've just come to your move to, and after we get the unit direction, delete that brake vector, and from here you want to get the rotation. Where is it? Rotation from Z, or from the X vector. What have I got there? Rotation from X vector. Because X is normally the front. Okay, so we're going to get the rotation from the X vector. We're going to split that struct and then pump that Z value into the set world rotation. What we'll do is we'll get rid of that. We'll get rid of that. And then we'll pull in set actor rotation. Right, spell that right. Set actor rotation, the one we had originally. Split that. We'll come into here. We'll keep what we've already got, so we don't rotate in that direction. We only rotate in the Z. Now compile, save, and then we should have the boat rotating properly like so. And there you go. Backwards, obviously. So if you want to rotate that, you can just come into here, do a times float by float, pump that into there, and give that 180 degrees. And that'll spin the boat round. So it's heading in the right direction. Sideways. Not winning today, am I? 90. There you go. So, boat's heading in the right direction. On the waves. towards a point which doesn't have to be random. So this is the point where you could say, right, in the game, spawn this at this location, and then tell that boat to move to it. So what we want in part 2 is the avoidance. So look out for that. Subscribe, like the video, and then you won't miss it. Alright, and of course, if you want these projects, if you join the Patreon, I'm just going to put everything I do on the Patreon, so you can download it for yourself, the actual code, the blueprints, any static meshes that I make, any, like the boats for example, or buoyancies. If I make some, I'll just put some on there, so it's for everyone to have. Alright, well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.